Hello, I am Jeff Biggs, and when is AT&T going to get another Super Bowl?
I am Marcus Mosher, and I might not show up to off-season workouts. We'll see.
Well, my name's Aisha Morrison, and I'm shocked by Marcus's comment just now.
That's okay.
Glenn Stretch Smith, and I am not going to training camp. Out.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Well, Coach, if you were at training camp, I would ask for your autograph. I would wait for you.
Guys,
I would be there.
Guys, did I miss something? Are we on like a strike?
No.
I want in.
It's just George Pickens said today he might, or they said that he might not go to off-season workouts, but we'll see.
Well, technically he can't until he signs his tag, right? Is that how it works? He's
correct.
Technically,
yes.
Not with the team until he gets that done. So unless they can hold his hand to the paper with the nope.
Yeah, he'll be good.
Not yet.
I don't know. Are we? Well, Jeff, go ahead, do your hosty thing.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll get into that. We got a lot of George, a lot of GP to get into tonight. All right. The countdown for the Cowboys continuing. As you know, we are now less than a month away from the NFL draft. Can't wait. Right now, we have another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Great to be with you on this Monday night. Happy Holy Week. Happy final couple days of March as we get into April. Looking forward to that. As always, we start with a welcome to the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. That would be Marcus Mosher. We've got Iisha Morrison, two eyes back in the house, multiple Morrison with all of the shows that she is doing right now, and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, coming up, the very latest on the Cowboys, including a Lottie from Shoddy. He said a lot today, meeting with the media. I got to try to make it like you said.
Funny. That was good.
Thank you. Brian Schottenheimer spoke with the media from the NFL annual meeting, which got underway today in Phoenix. So we'll get into that. A lot of different things there to address. By the way, is it okay to mock drafts? Or no, is that bad?
100%. Yes, okay. Absolutely. Yes.
All right. But in all seriousness, Marcus, let's start with you. We were all over this last week when it broke. The opening door for a possible trade for Myles Garrett. Could the Cowboys acquire the reigning defensive player of the year? But now the Browns GM, Andrew Berry, is trying to close the door. My question is, even if the door is closed, is it locked?
Absolutely not. I mean, no way. Andrew Berry at this time last year was talking about what kind of unicorn Travis Hunter was, and that he was comparing him to Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers pitcher, right? And that he's an all-world, all-generational talent. And then what did the Browns do? They traded away from Travis Hunter from 2 to 5, right? Like, he actually even called Myles Garrett a unicorn today, used the same exact language that he did with Travis Hunter a year ago. No, I think if you're Andrew Berry, of course you're going to say that he's not on the table because you want the best offers possible. I don't know that a deal is going to get done between now and the draft. I think they're leaving their options open, but I don't think this is the last that we've heard of Myles Garrett.
Nice. So on my earlier show today, Girls Talk, Boys Talk, Christy Scales, shout out to Christy. She made a really good point about, as with these league meetings that we're going to get into, there's also, the proposals of rule changes and stuff like that. And one of the things she pointed out was that Cleveland, one of their requests was in regard to the draft picks and how far out, you can, ask for a draft pick. So I think they're trying to extend it to 5 years. if I'm not mistaken.
They did withdraw that today, though, unfortunately.
Okay. So the fact that they even were attacking that was something that we thought was relevant in the conversation as you talk about a Myles Garrett and, them saying like you would think they would never give up on Myles Garrett, but behind the scenes, it does seem like there's some things, as you gentlemen talked about last week, that are happening that make you be like, okay, is this could still happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a Browns organization who Jimmy Haslam said 1 year ago with Deshaun Watson was a big swing and a miss. Today, he stepped up and said, we're going to hit the reset. And in fact, we're going to give him the opportunity to be the starter of this football team. So, I mean, this is an organization that is all over the map. You can. I don't know that you can put a lot of stock in anything that any of them say.
It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. There's no way. Like, what?
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson gives you the best chance to draft Arch Manning, so that does make sense to me. I get it.
You're going to
so does trading Myles Garrett gives you the best chance to draft him.
Yeah,
you're going to jail, Marcus.
Well, I do want to mention some of the being able to trade first round picks from 5 years out. The Browns withdrew that, but I am still of the belief that the Browns want draft picks in 2027, 28, and 29 because they're going to be trying to get a quarterback in one of those years. And we just know that they're not going to get one this year. So first round picks this year aren't going to be particularly valuable. So maybe they will wait until after the draft when teams can open up the 2029 avenue to go out and get picks. I would not be surprised if they're waiting until the summer to maybe make a deal.
Marcus, any clarity on why it was withdrawn?
I think they just wanted to get the proposal out there to get people talking about it. Obviously, they didn't get the support.
Yeah.
They didn't get this. Yeah.
They didn't get the support. Okay. Because I don't know. That was interesting to me. So.
Yeah, I think it's something to think about and chew on, and there's pros and cons, I think, to both sides. So we'll see for sure.
Yeah, and the NBA has struggled with this for a while as well, where teams are trading first round picks in like 2032. And the issue is that you get some irresponsible owners in there that'll just trade away these draft picks for nothing, right? And it can really damage the long-term outlook of these franchises. And I'm sure that's what the NFL is trying to avoid. But at the same time, I think when you have the avenue to maybe trade 4 first-round picks, maybe we see more quarterbacks getting traded, which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a pro way to look at that for sure. Well, let me stay on that topic for a minute, because we've been saying the last couple of weeks that it's been very quiet on the Max Crosby rumor front, right? But then Max, he's back in Vegas. Landon McCool was there over the weekend, right? Is he still there? Do we know? Is he back?
He's still living it up in Vegas. He'll be back for Wednesday's show. Don't you guys worry.
Nice. Okay. Well, there was a new report, though, in all seriousness, over the weekend that the Raiders may lower the price a little bit on Crosby, and maybe that come draft night, the Cowboys with like the number 20 pick and maybe a future pick might be able to get him for that. What do you think of that? And would you do that even with the medical condition that surfaced?
I feel pretty confident that the Cowboys are not trading for Max Crosby before the season, because if they aren't interested in him now because of the medical, I don't think anything between now and week 1 is going to change. Now, if we get into the season, he's playing and he's playing well, and maybe the Raiders aren't doing well, maybe that's when we see a trade open up. But I just think across the league, we aren't going to get any new news on Max Crosby until he is back on the field. I think we could probably table a lot of these trade discussions until then.
Okay.
No, until the medical side, until you, again, I don't care if you're talking about a draft pick. I don't care if you're talking about an NFL vet. I don't care who it is that you're talking about. When you have medical issues or medical questions, I'm telling you, you're going to see guys are going to do the pushback every single time, because you start talking about first round picks, another round pick, another player, and you don't know where he's at from a health standpoint. I think that's when you really are. I mean, you really are drawing at straws at that point. I just don't see this being something that the Cowboys are going to go down the road right now, especially when I think it was Dr. Fowler or Cooper. One of them was the one that did the initial finding on what was going on with him. So I don't see this being a topic right now. I really don't.
Very alarming.
Okay, Jeff, you got jokes today.
Slept good last night.
You got jokes today. That was good. That was another good one, man.
Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. I would agree with you. I think it's just not now. We'll see what happens, but there's bigger things going on. And Stephen Jones himself even kind of hinted when he spoke with the media today that, even Myles Garrett aside or Max Crosby, that they're looking into other potential big name moves that we don't know about yet. So I thought that was encouraging.
Yeah, and honestly, we got one just a couple hours ago that Jordan Brooks, the linebacker from the Miami Dolphins, it was reported in I believe it was the Sentinel. The Cowboys have called Brooks. He was an All-Pro player last year. He's on the final year of his contract. It doesn't sound like the Cowboys have had an offer that's particularly close, but we heard last week they were shopping around for potential linebackers. So I do expect them to continue to be aggressive, going after some veterans, probably at the edge spot and linebacker. It's just, I don't think it's going to be a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby type of name.
Stephen Jones stepped to the mic today and said that, acquiring players is a 365 scenario for where they're at right now. So, that makes you think maybe they do have some sort of card up their sleeve to make a play at somebody. I don't think unless you're in the building, you have any clue of what they're doing. But I do believe that there are certain people that they have targeted.
Well, I think the card also too is, I would think that maybe if they're talking about trading things, like part of the card is the 3rd round pick that you just were able to get as well for also Digizua. I think that is a part of this search as well, and why it made sense for the team. And to your point, Coach, like they didn't have a 2nd round pick, so it's that 3rd round pick, whether it be for trade or for a draft pick that you need to come in and have immediate impact matter. So that's a part of the card. But I'm kind of in a place too where I'm like, I'm not going to say that Dallas has been just far better about keeping stuff in house, but I do think that over the last year and a half, it has been a little bit more difficult to get a beat on some of the stuff that they are doing. And from the George Pickens trade, the Quentin Williams thing was right that night, people started hearing some real rumblings about it. So I think maybe too is they're trying to keep things a little bit more closer to the vest in past years. Because we're not getting much. I'm not getting much of anything from anything that they're saying out loud.
And Marcus, as you and Coach have both said repeatedly, that the Cowboys are in a good spot. They have picks. They're in a good spot, and they have some room to wait for their phone to ring if need be.
Yeah, and I just think the linebacker spot is a spot that you can address in a lot of different ways. And I think if you wanted to wait until after the draft to go out and trade for somebody, there are going to be some names available. These guys usually don't cost a lot, especially as they get into their late 20s and early 30s. The worst mistake they could make is panicking and reaching on a linebacker. And that's my fear, is that they're going to get into this draft and feel like they need to leave round 1 with a starting caliber linebacker. And when you do that, that's how you draft poorly, and that's how you build bad football teams. So I'm really hoping that the front office, Stephen Jones and Will McClay, they exercise some patience here. They don't reach, and then they evaluate their options like they did last year when once Tenero McMillan was off the board at 8, they didn't reach on a receiver because they had a need. They let the draft play out. They drafted their best players available, and then they made a trade for George Pickens. I hope they follow that path again because it worked last year.
Yeah, I hope that they do as well. But I also am just like, from a defensive standpoint, you don't. I don't know. I feel like you don't, for that Mike spot in particular. I mean, they have already said that they need someone that is a good communicator, a good processor, all those things. And when you look into this draft, there are maybe like two guys, as we talked about, the other week, Coach Marcus. Like, there's only a few guys even in this draft that you think can handle that low. So I would hope that if those guys are gone, like, reaching would be so out of, not even just in context of the draft, it would be outside of the realm of what you've been saying that you want to be as a football team on that side of the ball.
Yeah, we talk about, I mean, everybody talks about it being a mic. I don't know that, with this scheme, is there going to be a true guy that they're going to want to, call, that's going to be a green dot guy that's going to call all this?
He traditionally does have a guy, and it's typically his
right. But
linebacker.
I don't know if it's two. I don't know if he's going to line up with two bubble backers. I don't know if they're two overhang guys. I don't know how it'll be interesting to see how they formulate what they're doing. But either way, they've got to have multiple linebackers. They're going to have to get themselves in position, whether it's trading, late season evaluation, late season acquisition, or drafting. They're going to have to get a couple linebackers.
Coach, do you think that a safety could also be in play with the green dot? I know that some coaches don't like, the guy that's at the third of the field to be, be like man in the defense. But if we do have a guy that's going to be coming and doing some nickel stuff or in the box and stuff, do you think that a safety might be in play too?
I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't say no.
Yes, sir.
But I don't think that. I mean, I don't think it really fits with where you are, because you got to have somebody that's uber plugged in just to be making the checks to shifts and motions and what they're doing from a receiver standpoint. I think that's an awful lot to put on a guy's plate, but I wouldn't say no. I just think that they're still, at the end of the day, I think they want a veteran guy. I really do. I think they'd like to get a young guy and then a veteran guy in that position, and then see who fits best as they go through training camp.
All right. Well, when we come back, the Cowboys did add a member to their defense since we did our last show. We'll get into that. And we've got the very latest on George Pickens and what head coach Brian Schottenheimer had to say. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. Great to be with you. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I want to talk to you, though, about Robinhood, because what if sports were traded like markets? Well, now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. You can use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. Now, you may always have known the game, but maybe never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Well, now you can actually take part live in a market that is powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play, you decide. So trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. All right, we're back. Cowboys Squad Show. That is Iisha Morrison. Don't forget the two I's. Marcus Mosher, co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, after our show on Thursday, the Cowboys made another move for the defense. They added veteran D lineman Jonathan Bullard, reuniting him with new Cowboys D-line coach Marcus Dixon. Bullard, another good run stopper for sure, But overall, going into season number 11, do you like him? Do you like the move?
I actually watched a lot of his tape on Sunday, and it's a fine signing because they desperately needed another veteran body. They've moved on from a lot of defensive tackle talent this offseason, including obviously Osa Digizua. They also traded Solomon Thomas, and they released Perion Winfrey. So that went, I mean, all their depth is basically gone. They had their 3 starters up front, but nobody behind them. Bullard is a average to good run defender who gives you nothing as a pass rusher, and that's okay. They just needed another guy that could come in, give you 15, 20 snaps a game, and that's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to be the backup probably to Quinnen Williams. Maybe we'll see him play in a little bit of that 4-eye, but he's a fine backup.
Yeah, I thought it was a smart signing for all the reasons that Marcus said. And then also, too, I wanted to ask Coach specifically because from the run stopping perspective, he's not as slim as he's kind of, but I thought Solomon Thomas, quiet as kept, did some good things in the run last year, really sifting through trash and a lot of those short yardage situations and stuff. His body type's different than the gentleman that they just grabbed. Like, Coach, was Solomon Thomas not like a fit? I thought he would be a fit for this, but obviously Dallas decided to trade him. These guys' roles would be different or similar?
I mean, again, you got to think of more in this defense, from what I understand, and you got to keep in mind now. I mean, I think there's very little out there about exactly what they want from a defensive line standpoint, but I can see more squared stance guys that are more, instead of that, they're going to be more that with their feet, which means that they're going to be more, hey, we're going to play this double team, and we're not going to let this, if I'm shaded over the center, I'm not going to let this guard get into my hip and be able to get to a second level. I'm going to be more of, I'm going to fight this double team off, and I'm going to allow my linebackers, my safety, my nickel to free flow and get to the play. Do you want somebody that's very, that's real agile? Yeah, I mean, I can remember when Philadelphia was really good back in the early 2000s. They had a Hollis Thomas, a kid we had at Northern Illinois, and he was a squared stance, big, thick-bodied guy. And I can remember Larry Allen saying he had the most trouble with him because guys that are thicker and have those squared stance are harder to move off the football. So my gut feeling is they're going to need some of those guys who are just down in there, really just fighting the double team block, and that's your job. I mean, just get in this gap right here, fight this double team block. Don't get turned. Don't get to where your shoulders are turned, your hips are turned. Get in here and stay square. And I think that's what you're looking at when you see these bigger bodied guys get into a 34 defense. They're going to want guys that don't allow guards or uncovered centers to get second level blocks.
Tracking.
I'm very good. That was a great breakdown, Coach. Love that. Thank you. Love it when you give us those nuggets. It's outstanding. So let me stay with the D line here, Marcus, real quick, because I know you guys have been all over it every day. You too, Iisha. So looking at different mocks, and so we're looking at this week and number 12, and saw something that there's thought that maybe Ruben Bain of Miami might be there at number 12, would be available. Number 12 would drop down. Do you agree with that? Is he be somebody that would be a good fit?
It's tricky because I like Ruben Bain. I think he's an awesome player. I think he's a phenomenal pass rusher. He plays with power, but I don't know, because I think they're going to ask their edge rushers to drop more in coverage and to play in space more. And I love Bain, but he's not the most athletic guy sideline to sideline. I truly don't know. Like, when I think of like what the Eagles have had over the last couple of years, or what Denver's had, they're running a similar style defense. It's the 245 to 250 pound edge rushers that can play in space, that can win with speed, that don't mind dropping into the flats and in coverage. I would hope that they would look at Bain as somebody who is too good of a talent to pass up, but I also could see them feeling like he's just not a strong fit in our defense.
Okay.
I mean, I think that he's a good. I mean, obviously, we saw what he did in the playoffs and in the championship. He's so disruptive, and just as a pure pass rusher, like Marcus was talking about, he's definitely one of the best in this class, one of the more versatile in this class. I would love to see him in that wide nine. Really giving some of those taller tackles some issues with his bend. But I will say I agree his change of direction is not the best. But I will say also, guys, it's like, how much are they gonna really be asking those guys to do that? I know that it is a part of the scheme and it is a part of being, trying to have some ambiguity in what you're doing. But like, how often are they really going to ask these defensive ends to do that? And how many defensive ends in real life can do that? Even the best.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say for sure because they're going to be a different defense than Philadelphia. They're going to be a different defense than like what we've seen in Denver. I mean, but we've seen before, like it could be upwards of 120, 130 snaps a season. And I know that's not a huge amount, but you still need guys that are going to be able to do it. And we've seen the Rams are a good example. They have their guys dropping coverage about 150 snaps a season. It's not the most important thing, but you also have to be able to do it.
And you got to have a feel. I mean, that's the other thing is you've got to be able to understand concepts and where guys are coming from and where you're dropping to. And it really is, it's something that you have to have a feel for. You asked about Ruben Bain. I mean, in my mind, that is too rich for Ruben Bain at 12. Doesn't mean that Kansas City, what do they sit at 10?
9.
I've seen where, I mean, I could see if the corner's not there, which they've got to have corner. I mean, I could see that. I don't see him particular as a fit at 12 for the Cowboys. I think that's a little bit too rich.
And we should mention, I think the Bengals are going to have a pretty high grade on Ruben Bain. So I don't think it's likely he gets to them at 12 because of the Chiefs, who Stretch mentioned, and the Bengals at 10. But I will be fascinated. If he's there at 12, do the Cowboys take what I think a lot of people believe would be easily the best player on the board, or do they have a different grade on him than the consensus does? And we've seen over the last couple of years that they're willing to be bold. I think Tyler Booker's a great example last year. Nobody had Tyler Booker as a top 12, top 15 player in the draft. They took him at 12 anyways, because that's what their board told them to do. I'm going to be fascinated here.
I like that. Okay. All right. Real super short timeout. When we come back, George Pickens and what did Brian Schottenheimer have to say about him? We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. Want to remind you as well about don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with Marcus and listeners of the show and Landon, the whole package. Tap in the link in the show notes or go to, again, it's the Everydayer Club here on Locked On. All right, we're back. I love that. Technology, beautiful thing. All right, so as we mentioned kind of quickly at the beginning of the show, George Pickens has been tagged. They have until July 15th to get a deal done. But as far as voluntary team activities that start next month, head coach Brian Schottenheimer said he's been in contact with Pickens, but he's not pushing him to be there at this point. He wants to see the situation play out. Schottenheimer does with Pickens, but he made a couple of points. He said, we have plans for GP to be here a long time. So what do you guys make of that? And what do you think we'll see happen with GP as we head into April?
Was George Pickens part of the offseason workouts last year in April in Dallas?
I think so. Wasn't he here? Was he here yet?
No, he came in
wasn't
May.
here yet.
I
He
was
wasn't here
joking.
yet.
He came in.
No.
He came in May, right?
He wasn't here yet. Yeah, no. So,
Yeah.
no. But he was at training camp.
He was at training camp, but he missed all the offseason workouts because he was in Pittsburgh, right?
Still, yeah.
Did it have any big impact on his ability to play in Dallas in 2025?
No.
No, I think he's going to be okay. I think if he misses mini camps and OTAs, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now, if he's missing training camp practices out in Oxnard in late July, August, that's when I will be concerned. But I'm not worried about George Pickens running around in a t-shirt and shorts in the April and May. It's just not a big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal either. But I'm also of the mindset that, as you said, Marcus, plenty of times, is that he is in a unique situation where, this is a pivotal time for him. Like how he handles this and how well he does this season could have ramifications on him even getting, being a part of reset in the market in a couple of years, as you gentlemen have talked about. So I do feel like, whereas like I think how some people would think how he should handle it or how he normally would handle it, we might see something different because again, this season is pivotal for him in his future, whether here in Dallas or wherever else he decides to go.
Yeah, again, I think he's already shown that he has the ability to connect with the quarterback. I think he's shown that he understands the timing of the offense. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I do think if it starts to linger, though, if this thing starts to feel like he's not going to sign this and there's pushback, I could absolutely see a scenario here where guess what, Dallas could look at options with him. I mean, if they looked at options with Micah Parsons, they're going to look at options with George Pickens if he decides that he's going to be he's going to play hardball in this situation.
I think that's possible, but I don't think he has the leverage that Micah Parsons had because I'm going to keep hammering this point home. He was available at this time last year.
And nobody else wanted him for a third-round pick. I mean, I'm with you. I'm just saying that now he has shown that he can, he will, and is able to. And I mean that tide has shifted. So I do think, and this is not me saying that that I think he's in, out, or whatever the scenario is. But I think the farther you go into this, that the Cowboys have not addressed their need defensively, which is a rush end, a linebacker. And the farther you go into this, he becomes an asset to possibly addressing that. He's going to make himself available in those situations by what by his actions or what he's doing.
So I agree with you. I think the Cowboys might look at him as an asset that they could use to fix the defense. I think the only thing that I would push back stretch on is I just don't see a team giving up anything of real value for George Pickens. I think the best case.
Let me just throw this out there. What if Cleveland said, we'll take 20 this year, you're 1 next year, and George Pickens? You doing the deal for Myles Garrett?
Oh, yeah. But yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But I don't think.
Lockjaw, just pull the trigger one way or the other.
Yeah, I would. I don't think that any team.
Let me ask you this: is that enough to get Myles Garrett?
No, probably not. Probably not.
All right. What if it's the 20, next year's 1, and Smith, the guard?
No, I'm not doing that.
Absolutely not.
You're not doing that?
No.
Probably not.
Okay.
But just to go back on the Pickens part of it really quickly, I think there would be teams willing to give up a day 2 pick for Pickens. I don't see a team willing to give up a day 2 pick for Pickens and pay him $35 million a year. It's the combination of the two. And from everybody that has been whispered about this thing for a while now, is there's just no way that they're going to give this guy $35 million a year without having him in the building first. And that makes it really, really hard to trade him. I just don't see a realistic trade for Dallas where it makes sense, because yes, maybe somebody gives you a 3rd round pick, but is pick 80, and I'm making this up, is pick 80 going to suddenly address your defense? No, you might find a starter there.
No,
Maybe.
I'm
really
not.
lucky.
Again, I'm talking about a package deal. I'm not talking about a 1-for-1.
And I agree with you.
I didn't say a 1-for-1. I said
right.
What would it take in this scenario?
Right.
Now
That's
you're saying a 1. I mean, a 1.
That's the best way, right? That's if you're going to get the value out of Pickens, it's part of a package that you're trading for another player. But outside of Myles Garrett, I don't know how many options are out there like that.
Well, and then here's where I'm going to go. What if one of these receivers? What if the Arizona State kid you've got ranked high, and he's really high, and he's sitting there at 12? You going to pull the trigger on him, or are you going to reach at another position?
Probably reach in that case, because that guy can't stay healthy at all.
What guy?
Well, he probably wouldn't beat Tyson, right?
Tyson. No,
He
I mean,
wouldn't
if
be
it's
that high anyway.
Never mind the guy.
if it's
If
Carnell
it's an
Tate,
offensive player,
whoever the second best receiver is.
yeah, let's say it's
and we could sit here and speculate till the cows come home. Whoever they have as the second best guy on their board, if he's there at 12, and are they going to pull the trigger on that guy? And they've already shown you that they will.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna say, "Excuse me, go BPA and all that stuff." But I wholeheartedly believe that if Dallas walked out of the first round with a offensive and a defensive player, and not like two deep, like if the first player that they take in this draft is an offensive player, regardless of, I'm talking as someone that is like in the fan world on that side of sometimes, like with people, that's not something that's going to be well received. I'm sorry, it's just not.
And it comes back to your offseason. And honestly,
it's well received.
I'm sure they don't care. I'm just telling, we got a job to do, and we just talking. We just
I'm with you. I'm just saying that. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm saying I don't think at the end of the day, I don't believe that like that's taken into consideration. I'm not saying of course not. Wrong. I'm saying that if when you get in trouble is when you pass on people that you have great grades on, that you have an opportunity to pull the trigger on. That's when you get that really is. That's when it bites you in the ass. So you can't. I guess what I'm saying is it has to be an open mind on all fronts. And if I don't know, again, I look at 12. Again, I'm looking at maybe 4 guys defensively that I would say are worth the 12 pick. Delane, Styles, Downs, Arvell Reese. If those 4 guys are not there, and nobody's calling you at 12, I don't know who's falling off the board. I don't know. We don't know. We sit here and speculate. But if one of those 4 guys is not there, and the phone's not ringing for somebody to get up into 12, you better take the best guy that's there. I don't give a damn if he's a kicker. If you've got him ranked as one of the top guys, you better pull the trigger on that guy.
All right. Well, I guess it's just going to be score all the damn points.
But here
that's what it's going to be.
Stretch, I don't necessarily disagree, but this is why I have been so furious with how they've handled their offseason, because they have not put themselves in a position where they can draft the best player available and have a realistic shot of competing.
No question. They've taken flexibility because of their lack of what they've done. Yes. Flexibility is out of the question.
The only way that they could even establish any flexibility is if they do handle linebacker or defensive end. They got to handle. To me, at least one of them makes you a little bit better off going into this draft. Like in getting a starter there will make you one of those positions. That's how I feel. And because I think realistically getting both is just not going to happen. But at least one, getting a starter there before the draft, I would feel far better about their positioning.
Here's the way that I look at it, Aisha, is I think going into the draft right now, they have a bottom 3 linebacker room in the NFL. I think they have a bottom 6 edge rush room in the NFL and a bottom 10 cornerback room in the NFL. You only have 2 picks inside the top 90, right? Like you can, if everything works out, if you hit on corner and edge, you're still going to have a massive hole at linebacker. I know Stephen Jones said that they thought they did a good job of improving their football team this offseason. Maybe they did. They didn't do a good enough job because otherwise you wouldn't have these massive holes going into the draft, and it would allow you to draft the best players available. But if they come out of round 1 and they draft an offensive tackle at 12 and a linebacker at 20, they have no chance to be a top 25 defense next year. None. Like and I know Christian Parker, a lot of people think he's going to walk on water and solve all their issues on defense.
He's going to be good though.
He's going to be good. He still needs talent. He can't get bad players to suddenly be elite players. This is a bottom 5, bottom 6 roster in terms of talent. You're hoping that he can get them to be the 25 or 25th best defense in the NFL, and that's just a huge stretch.
I mean, I disagree. I think your secondary did get better. I thought your safety room improved. I think from the corner spot, you have more, as we're going to get into, I'm sure. You just have more different types of guys in there. You got some more guys that can take the ball away as well. I do think on the defensive line front as well, you did some of the heavy lifting for that last year. The end room is kind of meh to your point.
To me, I look at like you exchanged out Osa for Rashawn Gary, which is fine. Maybe Gary is a better scheme fit.
Fine.
But you also lost Solomon Thomas. You lost Perrion Winfrey. You really haven't added anybody else of value. To me, it was, your front 7 is basically, to me, the exact same as it was coming out of last year. In fact, it might be worse because Jadeveon Clowney's not on the roster right now.
I don't think it's worse.
I'm going to say this. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that maybe they've upgraded in the secondary, but if you can't get somebody to get to the quarterback,
I agree.
You could have 4 Deion Sanders out there. It doesn't matter. At some point, they're going to get open.
And asking a rookie, especially one that you're not drafting at 12, it's just way too much pressure to put on that player's plate, right? And that's my issue, is that they're going into the season knowing that they're going to have to manufacture pressure because they don't have that guy that you can rely on to beat blocks one-on-one consistently. And to me, if you didn't find that guy this offseason, or at least you didn't go out and try to get somebody, in free agency, you whiffed on the linebackers. That's why I think the really bad free agent period is going to have massive ripple effects when they get to the draft. Because hey, if a defensive guy is not there and you have to take a running back or a receiver or offensive tackle, that's great. You're going to take the best player available. It's not going to help your football team this year.
What can they do? Gentlemen, what can they do prior to the draft that you think would better set them up? If you had your way, what could they do right now?
2 things. I think number 1, you go out and you try to be aggressive in making a trade for a starting caliber linebacker or edge rusher. Now, I think linebacker is way more realistic because those guys can be had. We've mentioned names before. I would also, if I was Dallas, explore trading up in round 1 to go kind of guarantee yourself that you're going to get one of those top 4 players that Stretch mentioned: Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, David Bailey, Mansour Delane, Caleb Downs. That's technically 5, right? Go up to pick 6, go up to pick 7, make a trade because otherwise you're just leaving it up to chance, and I don't think you want to be there.
And you don't care what the cost is to move up?
No, I do. I think the best way for Dallas to do this, and I've done a lot of these different scenarios, is to try to trade 12 and 20 to get, let's again, hypothetically, 6 and something else, where maybe you're not getting back another first round pick, but you're not necessarily losing a top 100 pick because you're going to need those picks. One of the trades that I suggested was 6 and 39 for
Like a late
12,
second?
20, and pick 112. And it seems like there's maybe more momentum there, but something like that. Cleveland, I think, wants to bail out of that 6th spot. We'll see if they're willing to take 95 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, we've done a couple of simulators as well, and it was about the same as you were saying, doing the trading up and getting something back early in the second round or like mid-second round. I would be okay with that as well.
It'll be a lot more expensive than that.
Do you think it will be for a non-quarterback?
It'll be a lot more. I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot more expensive than that. I'm telling you.
I got another trade.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm telling you, it's going to be more expensive. You're going to be 12 and 20, maybe, to get 6 and a late 3.
Yeah, and
a late 3.
Late
I think that's a little
3,
much.
maybe early 4. That's how expensive it's going to be.
Another trade I'll run through this quick, Jeff, because I know we got to get to a break. The Commanders, I don't believe, have a 2nd round pick. So maybe you could do something with them, to pick up a couple 1st round picks. You go 12 and 20 for 7 and the 3rd rounder, which is very early. Something like that, where you're not losing picks, but you're getting up to go get the guy that you need to fix this defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Great ideas. You think the Commanders would do a trade with the Cowboys? I know it was hypothetical.
Yeah, Dallas traded with Philadelphia during the 2021 draft, where they came up to go get Devontae Smith. Dallas traded back, selected Micah Parsons. Worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did. No doubt. Okay, final timeout, final segment. When we come back, real quick timeout. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. We are back. Marcus, you made the comment the Cowboys have a bottom 3 linebacker room. I would say they have an only 3 linebacker room.
It's true. They only have 3 linebackers on their roster right now. It's DeMarvion Overshown, Shamar James, and Justin Barron, who I think only played a couple snaps at the end of the year. And yeah, go to our lads. Great resource. Look at all of the linebacker depth charts. Pretty easy to see where the Cowboys rank there.
Ouch. Well, Shoddy was asked about that today, and he said that drafting a rookie linebacker or trading for a veteran one are both options, and he said that the Cowboys are not done yet. So hopefully he's right. That would give the Cowboys a little stretch before the draft if they can make one of those moves.
That's a way better answer than saying, yeah, we don't have a plan at linebacker. We're all done. So
flying by the seat of her ass out here, hanging out in Phoenix. Yeah.
I hate to be that way, Jeff, but whenever I listen to any of these coaches or GMs talk, it's always like, okay, what else are you going to say? Yeah, of course you had a great offseason. It was you in charge. Of course you thought you improved your roster. Nobody's going to go out there and be like, we got a lot worse this offseason. I think our chances are this year, we got none,
That would be a great answer. Well,
hey, my golf game's better. I mean, we ain't worth a tinker's ass, but let me tell you, my wedge game is for real right now.
Good courses there in the desert. Got those courses with the sand around it, and you got a golf. So Jadeveon Clowney. Oh wait, one other shoddy note. Not that this is a big deal, but kind of a minor deal. He did say that newly acquired quarterback Sam Howell with the good hair will compete with Joe Milton for the backup job. So it's not etched in stone for Jam. Does that surprise you at all? Okay.
No, because
considering Dak's, I think considering Dak's, potential for injury, I think you have to at least address it because it could be reality.
This is why it doesn't surprise me, Jeff, because I remember last year during the preseason, about 7 or 8 phone calls as a preseason game was going on from Stretch, yelling about how bad the backup quarterback was. And to be fair, he's not wrong. Like, they had a really hard time even evaluating the down roster offensive linemen, receivers, and tight ends because Milton was that bad in preseason. Now, whenever he got into the game during the regular season, he actually was much better. But I think you need a quarterback that is way more steady and accurate than Milton. I think this at least puts some pressure on Milton to get better in a hurry.
Okay.
I don't
Anybody
think
else?
it's. I mean, yeah. Are we talking about the Sam Howell thing, and then like in quarterback maybe being an option and something that they do decide to grab? I mean, yeah, sure. I think that's an important part of things. I mean, Dak is getting older, and also too, backup quarterback has become a position that matters. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, but we saw almost every team in the NFL had a backup quarterback play at some point in time this season. It's just not a position I feel like you can just not take seriously anymore because the seasons are longer. And yeah.
Amen. All right. Well, Jadeveon Clowney spoke with the media. I think they caught up with him in Houston, and he, in a good way, he issued a warning to all the teams that have passed on him, and he says that he still has something left in the tank, and that he can play in any scheme, and that he loved playing for the Cowboys, for whatever that's worth.
I believe it. He talks about how he really enjoyed playing on Thanksgiving and having all of his family there and watching. He thought that was really cool. I do believe that he can play in any scheme because we've seen it. He's played in basically every single defense that you could ever imagine as he's bounced around the NFL. I don't think Jadeveon is in a big hurry to sign. He's never been one of these guys that I think enjoys the rigors of the offseason. Like if he could sign in late August after training camp is done, I think he would do that. He's somebody that I'm still having on my radar. If the Cowboys don't go out and draft an edge rusher early, at least that guy can come in here, stop the run, and give you a little juice on the edge. He's going to get a deal. He's going to play this year. I'm still holding out hope that it's for Dallas.
I mean, he's shown he can play in the 34 defense. He did it in Houston. He's shown he can drop. Shown he's got an understanding of knowing where the curl route's going to run, how to play the flat, knowing how to get in position to make a play in a hot situation. So, yeah, I think what he's saying is correct. I mean, doesn't bother him at 34, 43, whatever the defense is. So I think he's absolutely could be still in play, and he should be still in play. He was productive enough this year. We have 8.5 sacks. He's productive enough to continue to, I think, be a value, even if you got another guy, even if you drafted one. I think he's, I think absolutely there's some value to bringing Jadeveon Clowney back in here.
Yeah, I know physically, like dropping into coverage is probably something that he wouldn't want to do a whole bunch anymore. But like you were mentioning earlier, coach is having a feel and, just having the awareness. I think he does absolutely still have that even in the latter part of his age.
Did I see that he was ranked by PFF the number 7 edge rusher? Is that right?
Yeah, he was awesome last year. He was one of the best run defending edges. The win rates, all that, the pressure rates were all really good down the stretch. Now, he didn't play a ton of snaps. It was under 500 snaps. So you do kind of have to remember that in the grades. But yeah, on a per snap basis, he was awesome last year.
Yeah, it would have been awesome to pair him with, another really good pass rusher and to do it like that. But yeah, he stood out, and I think he earned another opportunity to be here. And the locker room loves him as well. Absolutely loves him.
So what you were talking about earlier, Marcus, about the Cowboys making a move to try to get back some flexibility before the draft. I feel like I ask this or say this a lot, but I feel like I need to repeat it. I mean, we're assuming that obviously if we're kicking this around, the Cowboys privately know what predicament that they're in, and they know where they're at and what they need to do. Right?
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're already setting some trades up, depending on, hey, if this guy's available at the spot, what if we make this offer? And hey, if our guys aren't available at 12, Minnesota, do you want to come up and grab this guy? I think they are laying the groundwork for these deals. I doubt that they make any trade before draft day because you just never know who might be available at a certain spot.
feel like you almost have to wait.
You do have to wait at least a couple picks, and then I can think you could start moving around. But yeah, I think my belief is they're not going to wait around here. They're either going to move up and go get a guy that can help them on defense, or they're going to try to bail out of that 12 picks so they don't have to draft an offensive guy. And if they got to take 70 cents on the dollar to get out of that spot and drop back to 18, 19, that'll just open them up to a new range of players where I think guys that maybe are a little bit too expensive at 12, but you feel more comfortable at 18. I just don't see them getting into a situation where they are forced to draft an offensive player at 12, because I think they know they can't really do that with the state of their defense.
Okay.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you, but you got to have a suitor. You got to have somebody that's going to want that. And there will be, I mean, somebody will want to get up in there for whoever that is, that, you know, is there'll be somebody that's going to fall down this board.
Probably a receiver. That's
Probably
if you're
a
going,
receiver.
in a couple things. You've got the Rams at 13, who actually we just heard today from Sean McVay that they tried to trade Devontae Adams this offseason. You've got the Ravens at 14, who need another receiver. So if a guy like Mekhi Lemon is there at 12, I would not be surprised at all if you get these teams from the teens to the early 20s trying to jump up to that spot.
Yeah, we talked about it. Like, this tackle class isn't that amazing, but there are a couple guys that are in the first round. Maybe one of those guys falls. Maybe somebody is really in need of one that bad, and they're able to come up too. But I agree with Marcus, is that wide receiver is probably going to be your best bet for someone having to come up and get a guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that said, Marcus, what do you, and are you solo right now, or is Landon still with you from Vegas?
So Landon will be with me for our Tuesday show. Okay. We're looking at some cornerbacks that could potentially be options at 20 or maybe on day 2. We're also going to talk about my second favorite cornerback in the entire class, who I would be thrilled if the Cowboys drafted at 20. We'll tell you who that is in our next episode. Nice
tease there, buddy. Well done.
Appreciate it.
Well, speaking of corners, one more before we go, and I hate to say this. I don't do this with any malice, but I have to kind of keep throwing whatever's out there. And I just saw this new report from Bleacher Report, and you know who they have as the NFL's most overpaid player?
Oh, let me guess. Dak Prescott.
No. Deron Bland.
Oh, that's not fair. He got banged up. I hate doing that on guys that are injured.
Right. I'm with you. So I'm just throwing it
There's
out
a couple other guys in offense that I think are a little overpaid that I would put on that list ahead of Deron Bland.
You so petty, man.
And I said this. I said this at the beginning. You know, Vegas gets Super Bowl, what is it, 63 for 2029, but when is AT&T going to get another one? It feels like it's been a long time. It seems like they've kind of shrunk the rotation a little bit. What's up with that? They were just in Vegas a couple of years ago. Come on now.
Maybe they don't like the food down there near AT&T. They want a city with better cuisine.
So messy.
I'm doing my best to draw a stretch outside, but he's standing firm in that stance right there.
Yep.
He ignoring your foolishness today.
Yep.
Look at Stretch. Stretch, I won't be bothered with you.
We got issues in North Texas, and I'm going to tell you what's not one of them. Food is not one of them.
Right.
We got traffic problems. We got some, maybe you don't like, you want to stay right next to AT&T. I get that. Food, you can exit that off of your list. How many times you been to the Metroplex, Marcus?
It's been a while.
Oh,
no, how many total times have you been to the Metroplex?
You just talking mess over there? You just talking?
You've never been here.
I have not. I'm waiting for you to invite me down.
You're going to gain 5 pounds in your weight when you touch down here.
Commenting on you've never been here, and you're commenting on the food.
See, that is one.
I mean, somebody down here would take a pair of them rusty boots and kick you right in your ass for saying that.
I'm telling you, he tripping. I'm serious. Like, some of the food down here is fantastic. You tripping.
I'm just waiting for him to invite me down.
So I got an open door, dude. You want me to show it to you? It's open over there right now.
Yeah, and y'all know why y'all acting like this. Go on, Marcus, with your little bag and go have a spend a night.
I see that pool. He sends me pictures of that pool every day. I'm jealous.
No,
y'all know y'all want to do a sleepover and watch film together and stuff.
2-pound sea guppy into a great white shark. No, I don't.
Y'all a mess.
All right, guys. On that note, great working with you. Huge blessing as always. Enjoy the rest of your week. Marcus, have a great week. Iisha, you got some shows coming up this week?
Yeah. I'll be recording the stack with Brian Broaddus and Zach Chuck. Both of those will drop on the Thursday and Saturday. So check us out.
All right. Check her out. Iisha with 2 eyes. Coach, thank you. We'll do it again on Thursday. All right.
Have a great one.
Okay. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.